Hey everyone, and welcome back to MGAC Inner Voices, a podcast exploring the personal stories and lived experiences that shape who we are, how and where we work within the AAC industry and beyond. I'm here to have real conversations that dig beneath the surface about the moments that define us, challenge us, and inspire us in work and in our lives. I'm back in the host seat. I'm Bryan Gamez. I'm a project manager at MGAC. I work and live in sunny Los Angeles. And today I'm very excited to bring on our UK counterpart, Steph White. She's a CDM consultant based in our MGAC London office. Very exciting. I'm so happy to have you here. Steph, can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi, nice to meet you all. My name's Stephanie White. As Bryan said, I am from the London office, but it's a bit confusing with my accent as I'm actually originally from Canada. It's honestly a thing that happens all the time when the Americans come over to the office over here. I always get asked what American office I'm from.
I think that's what I said to you. I was like, "Oh, you're
You
American."
did
You're
say
like,
that as
"No,
well.
no, I'm Canadian." I'm like, "Oh my God, now I hear the accent."
Yeah,
But you've been in England for a while now, right?
I have. I've now been in the UK for 10 years and I just got my PR last year. So very
Oh, what's a
exciting.
PR?
Oh, sorry, my permanent residency. So
Oh,
that means I don't need sponsorship. And then this October, I can actually apply for citizenship and get my official passport.
oh, well, look at that,
Yeah,
Brand.
yeah.
I Congratulations. I'm happy
Thank
that you
you.
like it. We're going
Yeah.
to go through some of your stories here, and I'm really excited to get to see how you went from Canada. You've been in Australia,
Hmm.
you've worked in fashion, and
I
now you're
have.
a CDM consultant. So for our American listeners, right, our markets are so different, very
Yep.
similar but different. Uh, and for those who are listening who might not be familiar, can you give us a quick sense of what CDM is? And like, can you give me a quick version of like what that means and what your work looks like day to day?
Yeah, so CDM actually stands for Construction Design Management. It's a piece of regulations that came out in 2015. Well, before that, but the last update was in 2015. Basically, every work in the UK is like we're all governed by the Health and Safety at Work Act. However, because construction is a bit more dangerous, like some of the other industries, they have their own
Yeah.
specific
Hmm.
regulations, and those are called CDM. So, as a CDM consultant, we have two kind of roles under the CDM regulations. There are multiple duty holders. I won't get into too much, but sorry, there's client has their own duties, the contractor, principal contractor has their own duties, and then something called a principal designer as well. And
Hmm.
so we either do the CDMA, so we help the client perform their duties under the regulations, or we might do the PD role as well.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
It's like a design role to help design out risk before the building's even constructed, to think about those things before you design and go, oh no, how are we actually going to fix this? How are we going to replace this? How are we going to clean this? It's thinking about those things and having those conversations during the design phase.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so we do
In
two
the
different
Belfast.
roles. Yeah,
Yeah. So you're really flexible. You can see it from a few different perspectives then, but at the end of the day,
yeah,
you're key at the same goal.
yeah, definitely. So on a day-to-day basis, it depends what role we're doing. It's a mixture of being sometimes being in the office, but also we go on site as well. So we'll do things like what you think of like health and safety. We do on-site health and safety audits with the contractor under the CDMA role. So it's a mix of things. So it's good, yeah.
Oh, and what does that look like? Like an audit?
So it's not quite like walking around with like a clipboard, but we'll
Yeah.
just have a walk. We'll have a walk around with the contractor, look around, ask some questions, and kind of look out for what might be a problem, but also what they're doing good as well, because we like to give positive feedback
Oh,
as
of
well.
course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then we
Boost
produce
morale.
yeah, so we produce a report at the end of that, and that kind of gives them like a scoring system. But basically, because we do that, we are doing it on behalf of the client to help them fulfill their duties.
Oh, well, that's interesting. That's really cool.
Mm,
So let's rewind a bit because
yeah,
one of the things I love about these conversations is hearing how people get to where they are.
yeah.
Rarely a straight line, and your path is a great example of that. How did you land here? Because, like I said earlier, you studied business, you studied
Yeah.
psychology. Take me from Toronto to Australia to London to now.
It's quite a long story, but I'll give you the cliff notes. with it.
Yes.
So like you said, I studied business and psychology. I did my undergrad degree in a city called Waterloo. And then kind of when I finished that, I got a job at an engineering office. I did that for about 6 months and then kind of had a bit of a freak out saying, I don't think I want to stay here. I think I want to go see the world. I want to go experience things. So I did like a youth mobility visa. They probably call it something else now, but it gives
Okay.
like certain countries the opportunity if you're under a certain age to move around the world. So if you're below, yeah, the age of 30, I could move to Australia and I got like a 2-year visa where I could work.
That's
So when I
awesome.
went to Australia, I started doing a bit of traveling and bar work, but then I moved into events and actually worked out as a wedding planner. We did other events as well, but weddings was my main bread and butter. When I left Australia, I decided I did not want to come home, even though my parents were keen to have me back. I
Of
was like,
course.
where could I go? So I decided on the UK. Australians love the UK. The two countries often go back and forth. So I decided to come here, stuck in events, but then kind of whittled my way into more fashion events, which was quite interesting. And then also worked for a couple. Well, I worked for a brand, a sunglass brand as well. But then I got to a point with fashion that I decided it's not quite the route I wanted to take. And I decided I want to go back to university. And I decided on health and safety, which sounds a bit crazy to most people. um, then found my way into construction from there.
That's really quite a journey.
Yeah,
You've had so many different hats across the last
yeah,
10 years. But
yeah.
like, what was it about health and safety that was like, I'm gonna go back to
Don't
school
do
for
that.
this? Like, what nudged you into that direction?
Do you know what? It was a mix of my mom was, it was always something she kind of suggested. So I kind of took that on board.
Oh,
And I knew with health and safety, I could do a lot of different industries. Every single industry will have health and safety as part of it. So I knew
smart.
there would be jobs out there. I think it's great to study whatever you want, but also it's good at looking what there is a demand for because you want a job at the end, don't you?
No, absolutely.
So that's kind of how I got into that. And then more construction, it was more, well, health and safety is great, but there's a little bit more going on with construction. It's a little bit more high risk. It's a little bit more exciting, a
More
bit more going on,
challenging.
more
Yeah.
challenging. Yeah.
You're like, I'm gonna push myself here.
Yeah.
So when you were experiencing schooling, did you ever have like doubts along the way, or did something just click? Because it sounds like with health and safety, you were influenced by your parents, and obviously you had your own opinions as well about job safety or security. But did it just click along the way?
It did and didn't. Like I think with anything, you're always going to have doubts if you're doing the right thing. It wasn't the only thing I considered, actually, funny enough.
Oh, really?
I also considered pursuing my psychology background, which I think would have been great in its own way as well. I almost did either clinical psychology or forensic. I came to like,
Interesting.
yeah, so either forensic, you can give expert advice in the court system,
Yeah.
or you can actually do counseling in prisons as well with
Hmm.
inmates as well, giving counseling in those situations and then giving recommendations as well for release and things like that. Or clinical psychology was more the area of you'd be working with people who have been diagnosed with mental illnesses. So quite heavy as well.
Wow.
I think I came to at the end of the day, I really love psychology, but those jobs are very heavy
They
and
are.
very
Yeah.
emotionally taxing. And I think that's great. Like if you have the bandwidth for it,
Yeah.
by all means, I think I worried a bit that it would overconsume me. Having those discussions day in and day out,
Yeah.
would I
And
be able
separating
to like,
yourself from work. Hmm.
yeah, 100%. I have a friend who actually does clinical and she just has the mindset for it and she's amazing at it. She had a brother who passed away from mental illness and I see even the effect on her and it's just a lot. And I just kind of went back and forth with that. And I think I've made the right decision in the end.
No, that's great. I didn't even know that you were considering that.
Yeah.
Did you ever see ties between psychology and construction and how you approach? Because it's like you've gone to school for such a specific item.
Mm.
And then do you ever apply any of those lessons learned into construction?
There's so many different areas of psychology as well. I'd say like most like social psychology was what you'd be like talking about, like kind of having how to deal with people and how people respond to certain situations. And it's definitely come in handy. Yeah.
The work we do is important, but It's also the people we do it with that make it meaningful. Are there people or teams that have left like an impact on you in the last few years as you transitioned into construction? Because you talked about how there were some things in fashion that you didn't like or events.
Yes, definitely. I think, as we discussed, it's just a different culture in fashion. I'm not saying every brand or every place you work at has the same culture, but I think it's a bit of a dog eat dog world in fashion.
Yeah.
I think they know there's a lot of young men and women who want to get into the industry. So it's kind of like if you're not willing to put up with it, there's someone behind you who will. And it
Mhm.
can be a bit harsh in that sense. Yeah, if it's your passion, go for it. But yeah, there's a bit of a stigma in that industry of kind of how people treat each other, unfortunately.
And on this side, have there been projects or teams that were just like, oh, it's such a different world?
I think so. I think with any workplace, you're going to come across difficult people.
True. Yeah.
I've definitely been in Teams calls where people are going at it. I think you're always going to find it, but honestly, I think construction's been quite good. There's very few situations I can think back and go, oh, that person was horrendous, or that situation was horrendous, or really bad conflict. Knock on wood.
Yeah, I know. I think we always do deal with sometimes very difficult people, but it's a high stress situation. I think everyone has some grace
Yeah.
about like, what we're doing. When we talk about safety in construction, it can sound very technical. What we do is very technical, but it's also
Yeah.
deeply human. And when we talked previously, you talked about events like the Grenfell Tower fire
Mm.
that just shaped the industry in the UK. Can you talk a little about how that tragedy may have influenced how you see your work and how the industry is approaching safety and responsibility today in the UK? I know about it because it made headlines
Yeah.
in the United States about the tower that, you know, burned down in central London. And so for some people that don't know who the story, but this happened, I think, in 2015 or
17. 17.
2017. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still very much talked about here. It very much has influenced some of the regulations that have come out since. We've had updates to our fire regulations here. Yeah, I think sometimes when people think health and safety, they're like, oh, you're just there to get everyone in trouble. And people just think about more red tape
I
and more
really,
rules.
yeah.
And I understand that thought process. Like, I get more rules, and sometimes it goes overboard. However, you need red tape, you need regulations, you need to put something in there. Otherwise, people will have their own prerogatives and go their own way, as you see with Grenfell.
And cut corners and cost lives.
People will cut corners. So you do need that fact checking. You need people looking at other people's works. Otherwise, people get away with things. I'm not saying everyone does it, but like
Yeah.
it happens, right? And things slip through the net. And unfortunately, this tragedy had happened for them to really open up their eyes and make these strong changes. And I think it shows you like the importance of the work that we do and that we all do
Yeah.
in the industry.
You sound so passionate about it, Steph, which is so great because you're like, yeah, I see their perspective, but it's
Mm,
also something that's really critical in the role of a project.
yeah.
Also in protecting their clients as well, quite
Oh, yeah.
literally.
Yeah. I always try to have that conversation when I go on site. Like, I'm not here to get you in trouble. I'm not here to make your life any more difficult.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually here
Yeah.
just to protect you. And some people still are not aware of some of the dangers. Like, I see a lot of men not wearing dust masks
Oh, yeah.
and they're cutting bricks and things like that. And I'm like, do you understand what you're exposing yourself to? And they kind of just look at me, and I was like, no, you need to protect yourself. This is not about the client.
Yeah.
This is about you. You're not going to feel sick tomorrow, but what's to say?
Yeah.
You're not going to
Right.
feel the effects years down the line, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
so I think if you just come in with a positive view and come in with more the carrot than the stick, I think
Yeah.
that's always the right way to go about it.
You're approaching it from a human
That's it.
perspective. I think people get so taken aback if you're like, you're doing it
Yeah.
wrong. This is an issue. You have to kind of spin it in a way where it's like, how do we get people to understand that?
Yeah.
Was there a specific training that you had to undergo for your role? We talked
Mm.
about something called DBOSH, and I want to see what your experience was like for you for that training.
Yeah, it's a recognized course here that people take if they want to get into something like a role that we're doing, or they might take it if they want to be the health and safety advisor on a construction site. Yeah, it was a good course. It's construction focused, but more on the CDM side and more on the health and safety side.
Is it required for the role?
It's not necessarily required for the role,
Oh, okay.
but it would be suggested.
Got it.
But you can go into this role in multiple different pathways.
Right.
We have what we call recognized bodies that you can be under. I don't know which ones you have in the States, but like here for health and safety, we have something called APS or we have IOSH. So it shows that you have the necessary skills and training and education to fulfill a role. And
Oh,
then you do
okay.
some further learning within it and kind of show that you're constantly doing development, if that makes sense.
No, that does make sense.
Yeah. Like it's our charter ship. You probably have something like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
the Royal Institute of Quantity Surveyors.
Yeah, so there's ones that are specific to our role. So
Yep.
there's APS, which is really construction specific, or IOSH, that is like an international recognized health and safety one.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
Mm.
Was there anything about the training that surprised you or really challenged you?
I don't think in the training itself, honestly, I think this role and going on site, there's always something that surprises me, or I see something that's always a bit different.
Yeah.
I'm never too shy or proud to admit that I might not know something or that I quite don't understand that. Like I'm not going to go on site and pretend like I'm an M&E engineer. So if I see something or don't quite understand something, I will always ask the contractor. They might not have the answer as well, right? But if there's something I see, like a technical thing on site, I always put up my hand and say, can you explain to me what you're doing here? Because there's always developments in the industry, right?
Yeah. I'm the same way, Steph.
Yeah. And I think that's the way to be, honestly. Like, I don't think you should ever be too proud to continue to learn. And
Well, that's our job too, right? We have to ask questions. We need to know what's happening. I
yeah.
don't think there's ever anything wrong with asking a question. If I
Mm.
really don't get it, then that means something needs to be explained to me. And that's our role as a project manager. Is there a project that stands out not just because of what you built, but because of how it came together?
I won't go into any specifics. The thing I love about working in London on projects is you get to work on a lot of heritage listed buildings.
Oh, that's really
So
cool. That does sound really
buildings that have
cool.
been
Yeah.
built before my country was established back in Canada. And I've worked on, I guess you'd probably, I guess you'd call it a castle in the past. A hedge fund billionaire had bought it for his family.
How nice.
A casual purchase of 10 million, and I think he'd already put in like 100 million into it before I left my previous company. And it was just amazing. And they remember they were telling me that's where Henry VIII used to
Oh.
go for hunting. So there's projects like that where you get to see these buildings with amazing histories. I love that. I love that part of it.
Some of my favorite projects are the ones where we touch historic buildings and how do you bridge the two. It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
That's something that I really do enjoy. And it's such a challenge. These existing conditions, right? They're brittle. You have to be just very detail oriented and it just makes the project much more exciting, especially at the very end of the day when you complete the project.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you miss from your previous life in fashion or events or something you definitely don't miss?
This sounds bad. I do kind of miss the perks of some things. I used to get a lot of free stuff and they had pretty good parties. I'm not going to lie as well. So got to go to some really cool events. And yeah, I got some free clothing and just random stuff. When you would do the pop-up event, it would be the most bizarre concept and I'd come home with the most bizarre props and I'm like, well, I'm just going to keep this. But yeah, probably just getting free stuff. But other than that, no, I don't miss it. I know this was the right move.
That's great. You feel really at peace with that.
Yeah.
And I ask that because, fashion, events, and construction industries are different. Sometimes people think of construction as being like really rigid and we're also very male dominated. And,
Mm.
have you ever had to adjust yourself when you show up to these spaces, or do you feel like you found your voice here?
Yeah, I think when I first started in construction, I was a bit more self-conscious. There was one time I went to site, I was with a male colleague, and the site manager wouldn't address me or talk to me. And actually, it was my male colleague who was like, no, she's running it today. She's running the show. You'll talk to her, which I really appreciated.
That's great.
But
Yeah.
since then, honestly, I think throughout all my experience, I've kind of gained the confidence to be all right in most rooms. It's something I continue to develop, but I feel quite confident now in the industry.
Do you ever felt like you had imposter syndrome? I'm asking that because there are days where I'm just like, I'm at the table.
Yeah,
Do you sometimes feel like you have imposter syndrome? Did you ever face that?
I definitely, you're right. Like it still happens to this day.
Yeah,
There's sometimes you're
sometimes.
sitting in a
Yeah.
meeting and you're like, oh God, what have I signed up for? And it definitely has happened, but it's just something you kind of have to keep in check and I kind of have that conversation
Yeah.
with
Kind of
yourself
keep it at bay.
and also remind yourself, I don't need to know everything. Like you said, we have a table
Perfect.
full of experts and we all have our strengths and I wouldn't expect them to know every inch of my job. So it needs to be a team effort and not beat yourself up too much if
Well,
you don't know everything.
and that's what I really actually enjoy about MGAC and
Mm,
also our project teams. If you don't know anything, you can know who to reach out to ask a question and learn from them.
100%.
That's kind of keeping that open mind. So it sounds like
100%.
you've really found your rhythm in this role. It makes me wonder, was there anyone who's helped you get here? You've talked about your mom as an influence,
Mm.
whether it was a formal mentor or just someone who gave you that push or support you needed.
When I started, I had a really great woman mentor at my last place of work. She was great. I can't praise her enough. And I'm really thankful for everything. I just lucked out that I was put in her team under her. And I was so thankful for it because she was just very on it, very knowledgeable, and a very lovely person. So I really, really, really lucked out with that. And then as well, I have a wonderful team here in MGAC. I'll shout out to Duncan and Matt in our office.
Shout
And
out to Duncan and Matt.
I'm really thankful for them both. They're a great
Oh, I
team
can't
to
wait to meet
work.
them. You talk about mentorship in this great way. How has it played a role in how you show up for others on your team?
I always just try to be there for my team and for the rest in the office. I think we're all good at if we have any questions, if anyone needs help with their projects come in ebbs and flows, right? And sometimes someone can have a way busier week than someone else. And we're all great at being like, do you know what? Do you need me to cover this or do you need me to do this week? Oh, I can sit in that meeting for you. So we all really try to help each other out in that sense, which I'm really thankful for because nothing worse would be working with people who are just like, no, this is my project. Get out
Yeah,
of it. I'm
no,
not helping with that. But
absolutely.
we're all definitely there for each other when we need to be.
I love hearing that experience that you're having here at MJC because I feel the same way. Can you tell me what the London office is like? What's the vibe there? What's the city and the team like? It sounds like it's a great team.
It is a really great team. I think we've really lucked out with the people that we have here. We all really get on. It really has made the workplace so much better that we get
Yeah.
on so well.
And you guys have a brand new office too, right?
We're in a brand new office right near one of the main stations called Liverpool Street. It's really lovely. It's a really lovely, great group of people.
And what do you think makes MGAC feel different from other places you've worked?
I would say, like I said, the people really make the place. You're spending so many hours of your week with your workmates. So
Yeah,
you better hope that you get on with them. The people definitely make it. And the jobs that we get here and the projects that we get are quite amazing. Like I said,
interesting. Yeah.
I won't quite get into it, but on our team, we work in a wide range of projects and I'm really feel lucked out to be on some of the projects we are.
I love that. What's something you wish you could have told your younger self when you were just getting started in the industry, or in this case, several industries, since you
Yeah,
haven't had a linear path?
I think don't fret and don't stress. Progression isn't always linear. There's going to be like ebbs and flows, ups and downs, and it'll work out. Just keep on going. That
Yeah,
sounds corny, but yeah, don't freak out that you might not know
but it's
today exactly
true.
what you want to do. Because I feel like you get out of university and you're like, you have to decide on what you're doing. And
No,
I regret nothing that I went out and tried different things. It's in my personality to want to go out and experiment and try new things and not just be stuck on something. I think as well in this industry, I really enjoy CDM and I think I'll continue to keep it in my career, but I don't think it'll be the only thing I'm pursuing as well. I think I'll continue to develop.
you're going to continue evolving like a human does.
Yeah, and I think that's good.
You know, when people they apply pressure on themselves because of societal factors or whatever,
Mm,
family, personal stuff. I need to do this thing at a certain time. But what I love about being human is just the evolution of thoughts, your passions, your ideas. And you're a perfect example of that. You're always
mm,
constantly evolving stuff. And you've
thank
gone to
you.
this place right now. And I just feel like I'm speaking to you at a point in your life where you feel really, to me, very confident and that you made this right decision. And that's so amazing. I love that.
Thank you. I
So,
appreciate that. Thank you.
yeah, and I hope you're proud of it. If you had to sum up the impact you hope to have in your work or in how you show up for people, your team, what would you say?
I think I just always want to be a positive influence. I want to be someone that puts a smile on someone's face. Yeah, I just want to be someone pleasant for people to work with. I want them to go away being like, you know what, that was a great experience working with Stephanie.
I love that. You want your legacy to be one of she's a great person, she's easy to work with. Speaking to you now, that's the sense I get. I don't feel like you're going to be disrespectful to someone and you're open to perspectives. And I think that kind of
Mm,
comes across even just from how you've gotten to this point. You have such an open
yeah,
mind, which I think
yeah.
is really important in our industry. Finally, on a
Mm,
personal note,
yep.
what is something you're excited about right now, whether it's in your work, your personal life, a new project on the horizon, maybe?
I've started actually some hobbies recently. I've just started sewing, which I've really
Oh, that's super
enjoyed.
cool.
So even though I've given up fashion in my professional life, I know I still enjoy fashion and dressing up and my outfits and things like that. So I decided to kind of bring it into a hobby. So I've just started doing that, and I want to be able to make some garments, alter clothes, but essentially make clothing that I would want to wear.
Fashion designer.
Sometimes we forget that not everything needs to be there to make money, or it doesn't need to be
Yeah.
your profession. You can do things on the side as well that really bring you joy.
I totally get it. I love that you're doing that. I think everyone should do that. Like, as I said, I'm a competitive bodybuilder. I love bodybuilding. I
I love
love the
that.
sport of it. My competition's this weekend, and it makes me so happy. It brings me joy when I come to work.
Yeah.
And I think that it's so wonderful that you're exploring sewing and fashion. That's awesome.
Mm. Yeah, thank you.
Well, this has been such a great conversation, just getting to know you. You've been everywhere around the world.
Mm.
Toronto, Australia, London, fashion, these events, and now CDM. Thank you again for sharing your journey, your perspective. It's inspiring to hear you've carved your path to this today. And one of the things I love about MJC is that even though we're like spread across the world, conversations like this remind me how connected we really are.
Yeah.
So thank you again for being here. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in. If Steph's story resonated with you, drop us a comment, drop us a like, connect with us on LinkedIn, send us a message. And until next time, keep sharing your inner voices. Thank you for listening to this episode, and check back next month for our next episode.